My beloved soul, listen carefully. The most important relationship in your life, why God comes before everything. Because what you are about to hear may change the way you see your entire life. There is a relationship in your life that determines the strength of every other relationship, the peace inside your heart, the direction of your future, and even the healing of your past. Many people search for love in the arms of others, many chase approval from family, friends, partners, and the world itself, but heaven is whispering a truth that few are willing to hear. The most important relationship in your life is not with another human being, it is with God Himself. And this is not a coincidence that you are hearing this now. Heaven is watching, and you were led here on purpose. Before we go deeper into this sacred message, I want to ask you to do something simple but powerful. If your spirit feels even the slightest pull as you hear these words, type, "I receive this," in the comments. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and click the bell so you never miss a message heaven may send your way. And if your heart ever feels led, you may send a super thanks as a personal act of faith and support, but understand this clearly, my beloved soul, it is never pressure, never obligation, and never connected to receiving blessings or miracles. God's love and promises cannot be bought, they are freely given. Now take a breath and settle your heart, because what heaven is about to reveal may awaken something deep within you. My beloved soul, do not skip this moment, because the words ahead were meant specifically for you. Somewhere in your life, maybe quietly and maybe painfully, you have felt the weight of broken expectations. You trusted people who walked away. You gave your heart to relationships that did not last. You invested your love, your time, your loyalty, and sometimes even your dreams into others, only to discover that human promises can be fragile. But hear this carefully, this does not mean your heart was wrong for loving. It means your heart was created for something higher. The truth heaven wants you to understand today is simple but profound. Every human relationship is meant to flow from your relationship with God, not replace it. When people place another person above God, they unknowingly build their life on something unstable. Because people change, people struggle, people sometimes fail. But God does not change. Scripture whispers this eternal truth in Hebrews 13 verse 8, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Do you understand what this means, my beloved soul? It means the love you seek, the security you crave, the understanding you long for, already exists in the heart of God. And until that relationship becomes the center of your life, every other relationship will feel incomplete. Stay with me till the end, something powerful is waiting for you. There is a reason God desires to be first in your life, and it is not about control, it is about protection. When God is first, everything else finds its rightful place. When God is first, your identity becomes secure. When God is first, you stop chasing validation from people who were never meant to define your worth. Many hearts are exhausted today because they have tried to make other people their source of happiness. They look to a spouse, a partner, a friend, even a family member, hoping that person will fill every emotional need. But no human being was created to carry that weight. Only God can carry the fullness of your soul. Listen to what Matthew 6 verse 33 declares with divine clarity, "Seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things will be added to you." Notice the order heaven establishes. Seek God first. Not second. Not when everything else fails. First. Because when God is first, love becomes healthier, boundaries become clearer, and your heart becomes stronger. My beloved soul, do not leave yet, heaven has more to reveal. Perhaps there were seasons in your life when you felt distant from God. Maybe there were moments when silence filled your prayers. Maybe you cried at night wondering if heaven could see your pain. If that is you, hear this gently but clearly: God has not forgotten you. The distance you felt was never because God stopped loving you. Sometimes silence is part of divine preparation. Sometimes waiting seasons are when God heals the deepest wounds inside your heart. Psalm 27 verse 14 says, "Wait for the Lord, be strong and take heart, and wait for the Lord." Waiting is not punishment. Waiting is transformation. In those quiet seasons when it felt like nothing was happening, heaven was working in ways your eyes could not see. God was teaching your soul to depend on Him, not on circumstances, not on people, not on temporary things. Because the relationship God desires with you is not shallow. It is deep, intimate, eternal. And yes, my beloved soul, you were led here on purpose to hear this. Do not scroll away from this moment. The truth ahead may unlock something your spirit has been longing to understand. The world teaches people to build their life around relationships, careers, achievements, and approval. But heaven teaches something very different. Heaven teaches that the center of your life must be God. When God becomes the foundation, everything else becomes a blessing instead of a burden. Relationships become partnerships instead of dependencies. Love becomes generous instead of desperate. And your heart becomes peaceful instead of anxious. Proverbs 3 verses 5 to 6 speaks directly into this truth: "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your paths straight." Think about that promise for a moment. When God leads your life, confusion begins to fade. When God guides your relationships, wisdom begins to rise. When God heals your heart, the past loses its power over you. But the journey to this place often requires surrender. Surrender means allowing God to be greater than your plans. Surrender means trusting His timing even when it feels slow. Surrender means believing that heaven's vision for your life is greater than what you can see today. My beloved soul, if you remain till the end, the final word will change everything. Let me speak gently to the part of you that fears being alone. Many people hesitate to put God first because they fear losing relationships. But hear this truth from heaven. When you put God first, you do not lose the relationships meant for you. Instead, God aligns the right people with your life. Some relationships may fade, yes. Some people may drift away because they were connected to a version of you that God is transforming. But what remains will be stronger, purer, and more aligned with your destiny. Ecclesiastes 3 verse 11 reveals this beautiful promise: He has made everything beautiful in its time. Even relationships. Even your future. Even the love story God may be writing for your life. Stay with me a little longer, my beloved soul, do not skip this moment, because heaven is still speaking to you. There is something powerful that happens when a person truly places God above everything else. Their heart becomes anchored. Storms may still come, disappointments may still happen, but their soul remains steady. Because their peace is no longer dependent on people, it is rooted in God. Isaiah 26 verse 3 promises this: "You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast, because they trust in you." Perfect peace. Not temporary calm. Not fragile happiness. Perfect peace. Imagine waking up each day knowing that the most important relationship in your life can never abandon you. Imagine walking through difficulties knowing that heaven is guiding every step. Imagine loving others freely without fear of losing yourself. That is the life that begins when God becomes first. My beloved soul, heaven has been watching your journey. Every tear, every prayer, every moment you wondered if things would ever change. And here is the truth I want you to carry as this message reaches your heart. God is not asking to be first in your life because He wants to take something away from you. He asks to be first because He wants to give you everything that truly matters. Real peace. Real love. Real purpose. This is why Psalm 37 verse 4 says, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart." When your heart aligns with God, your desires begin to align with heaven. And what once felt impossible begins to unfold in divine timing. My beloved soul, do not leave yet. The final words of this message are meant to settle deep inside your spirit. The truth you needed to hear today is simple but eternal. When God becomes the most important relationship in your life, every other relationship becomes healthier, clearer, and filled with greater love. You were never meant to carry your life alone. You were never meant to search endlessly for fulfillment in temporary things. You were created for a relationship with the Creator Himself. And the moment you turn your heart fully toward Him, something powerful begins to shift. Chains begin to break. Old wounds begin to heal. New doors begin to open. Because heaven responds to surrendered hearts. And hear this final prophetic declaration, my beloved soul. What you have been praying for, what your heart has been waiting for, what your spirit has been longing to see, is closer than you think. God's timing is moving, divine alignment is forming, and the relationship that matters most, your relationship with God, is about to become the strongest foundation of your life. Walk forward in peace. Walk forward in faith. Heaven has not forgotten you. God is with you. And what He is preparing for your life will be beautiful beyond what you imagined. My beloved soul, remain here with me a little longer, because heaven is still speaking to you, and what is unfolding in this moment is not ordinary encouragement, it is divine alignment reaching your heart. You may not have realized it when you first clicked on this message, but something within your spirit was searching for this very truth. Somewhere deep inside, beyond the noise of life and beyond the expectations of others, your soul has always known that the center of your life must be God. Yet life can become crowded with voices, responsibilities, relationships, and worries, until that quiet knowing becomes buried beneath layers of distraction. But heaven has a way of awakening what the soul already knows. This is why you are here now. This is why these words are reaching you at this exact moment. Heaven is watching, and God has not forgotten you. And my beloved soul, do not scroll away from this sacred moment, because what you are hearing right now may be the beginning of a new chapter in your life. When a person finally understands why God must come before everything, a shift begins to happen deep inside them. The heart that once chased approval begins to rest in divine acceptance. The mind that once feared abandonment begins to trust in God's constant presence. And the spirit that once felt empty begins to feel full again. Listen carefully to what Jesus declared in John 15 verse 5, I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit, apart from me you can do nothing. This is not a message of limitation, it is a revelation of connection. A branch does not struggle to produce fruit when it remains connected to the vine. Life flows naturally. Strength flows naturally. Growth happens naturally. But when the branch becomes disconnected, it begins to weaken. My beloved soul, many people feel spiritually exhausted today because they have been trying to live life disconnected from the source of life itself. Stay with me till the end, because heaven has more to reveal to your heart. There are seasons when God gently allows certain relationships to shake, not to punish you, but to awaken you. Sometimes a friendship changes. Sometimes a romantic relationship fades. Sometimes people who once felt permanent begin to drift away. In those moments, the human heart often feels confused and wounded. But what if those moments were not signs of loss, but signs of divine redirection? What if God was lovingly reminding your soul that no human relationship should ever take his place in your life? Because when a person becomes your source instead of God, their absence can break you. But when God is your source, even painful endings cannot destroy you. Romans 8 verses 38 to 39 speaks this powerful truth, for I am convinced that neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, neither the present nor the future, nor any powers, neither height nor depth, nor anything else in all creation, will be able to separate us from the love of God. Think about that promise. Nothing can separate you from God's love. People may change. Circumstances may shift. But God's love remains constant. My beloved soul, do not skip this moment, because something important is unfolding inside your understanding. Many hearts spend years trying to fill a spiritual hunger with emotional attachments. They believe that if they just find the right relationship, everything inside them will feel complete. But even the most loving human relationship cannot replace the presence of God. That is why some people feel lonely even when surrounded by others. Their soul is not craving more people, it is craving deeper connection with God. Psalm 62 verse 5 declares, "Yes, my soul, find rest in God, my hope comes from Him." Notice the language of that verse. Find rest in God. Not temporary relief. Not momentary comfort. True rest. The kind of rest that calms the storms inside your mind. The kind of rest that heals the invisible wounds inside your heart. My beloved soul, heaven sees every hidden battle you have fought. Every silent prayer. Every moment when you whispered to God because you felt no one else would understand. And I want you to hear this clearly today. Those prayers were not ignored. Those tears were not unseen. Heaven was listening. Heaven was watching. And heaven is responding even now. Do not leave yet, because the next truth may speak directly to the deepest part of your heart. When God becomes the most important relationship in your life, something beautiful begins to happen to your identity. You stop defining yourself by what others think of you. You stop measuring your worth by how people treat you. Instead, you begin to see yourself through the eyes of the one who created you. And how does God see you? As chosen. As loved. As valuable beyond measure. 1 Peter 2 verse 9 declares, "But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession." My beloved soul, read those words again with your heart, not just your mind. You are chosen. Not forgotten. Not overlooked. Chosen. This is why placing God first transforms everything. Because when you know who you are in God, you stop begging for love from people who cannot see your value. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into places where your spirit feels small. Instead, you begin to walk with quiet confidence, not arrogance, but a peaceful assurance that your life is held in God's hands. My beloved soul, stay with me a little longer, because heaven is still revealing something powerful to you. The relationship God desires with you is not distant or formal. It is intimate. Personal. Alive. God is not merely a distant figure watching from heaven. He is a loving Father who desires to walk with you daily. Jeremiah 29 verse 13 reveals this promise, "You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart." Notice the condition. When you seek Him with all your heart. Not half-hearted prayers. Not occasional attention. But sincere pursuit. And when that pursuit begins, something incredible happens. The presence of God begins to fill the spaces inside your life that once felt empty. Suddenly your prayers feel alive. Your thoughts feel guided. Your decisions feel clearer. Because when your relationship with God becomes real, your entire life becomes aligned with heaven's wisdom. My beloved soul, do not scroll away from this message yet. If you remain until the final words, something within you may awaken in a way you did not expect. Let me share a quiet truth many people discover too late in life. Every human relationship is temporary in comparison to eternity. Even the most beautiful marriages, the deepest friendships, and the closest family bonds exist within the timeline of this earthly life. But your relationship with God is eternal. It existed before you were born, and it will continue long after this life ends. This is why Jesus said in Mark 12 verse 30, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind and with all your strength." This command is not about religious obligation. It is about alignment with the purpose for which your soul was created. Your heart was designed to love God first. When that love becomes the center of your life, everything else begins to flow with greater clarity and peace. My beloved soul, I want you to pause for a moment and reflect. Think about the times in your life when you felt closest to God. Perhaps it was during a quiet prayer. Perhaps it was during a difficult season when you had no choice but to depend on Him. Perhaps it was in a moment of gratitude when you realized that even in the middle of struggle, God was still carrying you. Those moments were glimpses of what your life looks like when God is first. And heaven is inviting you back into that place. Not through pressure. Not through guilt. But through love. Because God's invitation has always been gentle. Revelation 3 verse 20 says, "Here I am, I stand at the door and knock." My beloved soul, that knock is not forceful. It is patient. God waits for the door of your heart to open willingly. And when you open that door, even slightly, His presence begins to transform your life in ways you never expected. Stay with me now, because we are approaching the final moments of this message, and heaven has one more truth to place inside your spirit. The most important relationship in your life is not meant to compete with your other relationships, it is meant to strengthen them. When God is first, love becomes healthier. Forgiveness becomes easier. Patience becomes deeper. Because the love flowing through your life is no longer limited by human strength alone, it is fueled by divine grace. And here is the prophetic truth I want you to carry forward today. God is drawing you closer to Him not to remove joy from your life, but to multiply it. Not to isolate you, but to guide you into relationships that reflect His goodness. Not to silence your dreams, but to align them with a purpose greater than you imagined. My beloved soul, heaven has seen your journey. The struggles you survived. The prayers you whispered. The faith you held on to even when answers seemed far away. And this is the declaration that heaven wants you to receive right now. When God becomes the most important relationship in your life, the peace you have been searching for begins to settle inside your spirit. The clarity you have been asking for begins to appear in your path. And the blessings you have been praying for begin to move closer in God's perfect timing. Walk forward from this moment with confidence. Walk forward knowing that your life is not random. Walk forward remembering that heaven is watching, God has not forgotten you, and the relationship that matters most is already reaching toward you with love. And my beloved soul, what you have been praying for, what you have been hoping for, and what your heart has been quietly waiting for, is drawing nearer with every step you take toward God. Peace is coming. Restoration is forming. And the presence of God will become the strongest foundation your life has ever known. My beloved soul, remain here just a little longer, because heaven is still whispering something sacred into this moment, and the final words of this message are meant to settle gently but powerfully inside your spirit. By now, something within your heart may already be stirring. Perhaps a quiet realization is forming, perhaps a sense of peace is beginning to rise where confusion once lived. That is not an accident. When truth touches the soul, it awakens something eternal inside us. And the truth heaven has been revealing to you throughout this message is simple yet life-changing. The most important relationship in your life must always be your relationship with God. Everything else grows healthier, stronger, and more meaningful when that foundation is secure. But when that foundation is missing, life begins to feel unstable no matter how many other things appear successful on the surface. My beloved soul, do not rush away from this moment, because heaven wants to place one more understanding inside your heart before we close this message. When God becomes first in your life, something extraordinary begins to happen to your perspective. The problems that once felt overwhelming begin to shrink in the presence of His power. The fears that once controlled your thoughts begin to fade in the light of His promises. And the uncertainty that once kept you awake at night begins to quiet as your heart remembers that God is already holding your future. Isaiah 41 verse 10 speaks directly into this truth. Do not fear, for I am with you, do not be dismayed, for I am your God, I will strengthen you and help you, I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. My beloved soul, listen carefully to those words. God did not promise a life without challenges, but He promised His presence within every challenge. And when God is the closest relationship in your life, His presence becomes your greatest strength. Stay with me until the final words, because heaven is about to seal this message with hope. There will still be moments in life when you feel uncertain. There will still be days when the world around you feels loud and confusing. But when your relationship with God is strong, those moments no longer shake your identity. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" your heart begins to whisper, "God, I trust you through this." That quiet shift changes everything. Trust opens doors that fear could never unlock. Faith creates peace that circumstances cannot destroy. Proverbs 16 verse 3 reminds us, "Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans." Notice the promise hidden in that verse. When you commit your life to God, He begins to establish your path. That means the steps ahead of you are not random. The opportunities that will appear are not accidents. Even the delays and waiting seasons have purpose within God's timing. My beloved soul, heaven has been watching your patience. Heaven has seen the faith you held on to when answers seemed far away. And the truth I want you to receive now is this: your waiting has not been wasted. God has been preparing you while you were praying. He has been strengthening your spirit while you were searching for direction. He has been arranging details in your life that you cannot yet see. Ecclesiastes 3 verse 1 reminds us, "There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens." Your season is unfolding exactly as heaven intended. Even the moments that felt slow were shaping you for what is coming next. My beloved soul, do not skip this final moment of the message, because heaven wants you to carry something powerful forward from here. When you leave this message today, remember this truth whenever life tries to pull your attention in 1,000 directions. Return to God first. Before the opinions of people. Before the pressures of the world. Before the fears of tomorrow. Return to God. Speak to Him in the quiet moments. Invite Him into your decisions. Allow His presence to guide your heart. Because the relationship you build with God today becomes the strength that carries you tomorrow. Psalm 121 verse 2 says, "My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth." Think about that promise. The same God who created the stars, who formed the oceans, who designed the entire universe, is the very one who desires a relationship with you. Not a distant relationship. A personal one. A daily one. A living connection between your heart and His presence. My beloved soul, heaven has one final declaration to place within your spirit before this message ends. The prayers you have whispered, the healing you have been longing for, the peace you have been searching for, and the direction you have been asking God to reveal are all drawing closer in His perfect timing. Nothing about your life is unseen. Nothing about your story is forgotten. God has been walking beside you even when you could not feel it. And as you continue to place Him first in your life, you will begin to see doors open that no human effort could have forced open. You will begin to feel peace that no circumstance can take away. And you will begin to recognize that the greatest blessing in your life was never just the answers you prayed for, it was the relationship with God that carried you through every step of the journey. So walk forward now with quiet confidence, my beloved soul. Walk forward knowing that heaven is watching. Walk forward remembering that God has not forgotten you. And walk forward with this unshakable truth resting in your heart: when God is first in your life, everything else will find its rightful place, and the future He is preparing for you will unfold with beauty, peace, and divine purpose. Type Amen.